Malnutrition ranks high on the political agenda of Asian leaders. Asian NewsFlash looks deeper into a number of issues related to the fight against hunger. Welcome to Asian NewsFlash. I'm Serena Manisho, your host for today's program. In today's edition, we'll be exploring a few aspects of hunger, chronic hunger, and malnutrition which remain with us despite repeated promises and commitment in fighting for a more just society. Joining us in the studio is Mr. Hiroyuki Konuma, and he is the FAO Assistant Director General and representative for Asia and the Pacific. He'll be explaining to us the present situation and future scenarios. Mr. Konuma, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
And then here's the question. Does the world produce sufficient food to feed everyone?
Answer is yes. On paper, let's say, world produce about 2.3 billion metric tons of, or even more, food grains every year, which exceed the demand of world population. That means world is presently producing staple food to meet the demand of everyone.
And if so, that the world is producing enough food, then why is that nearly 1 billion world hunger population still exists at present?
Yeah, that is a very complicated issue. Need to talk quite many from different aspects. Let's say, in supply side, yes, as I said, world produce enough food at the moment, but it depends on the country, depends on the locations. Some countries produce excess food to export to other countries. Some country like country having a desert or difficult natural resource environment, they produce limited amount of food, so they have to depend on imported food. So distribution of food itself is not always meet the demand of everybody. So trade and distribution and sharing the food these are not always function as it should be. And another issue is accessibility of the people. Basically, poor consumers who do not have enough money to buy food, they cannot afford to satisfy their basic requirement. So poverty is one of the very basic fundamental problem of chronic hunger and malnutrition. This trend, particularly in the poor, despite of rapid economic growth, yet the world is facing widening disparities between rich and poor. This is affecting the situation, particularly when food price increase happened. Poor people are basically not able to afford to buy increased price of food. This is actually also happening in general terms.
What about the future prospect? Can the world produce enough to meet the growing demand of the increased population in the future?
At the moment, as you know, we have about 7 billion population on the planet. We are expecting that world population would increase to about 9.2 billion by year 2050. So to feed this growing population, according to FAO's estimation, we need to increase food production by 60% from base year 2005-2007 to 2050. This is the big challenge, let's say. So you can imagine, world in total have sufficient food to feed everybody, and 1 billion people who are suffering from lack of sufficient food in one hand, the 1 billion people who are having more food and overeating and enjoying too much. Yes. So this two different group of people, if they help each other, then theoretically people will be equalized and world will be happy. And anyway, food security could be balanced, but reality is not. Economic growth in Asia, it's remarkable. If you compare with the other regions, Asia is outstanding, but it is measured often by the GDP growth. GDP growth is looked at the people as the measurement of the economic advancement, but it's an average. Average means there are many people get higher growth in benefit, but there are many people also left behind of the benefit of economic growth. So this widening disparity between rich and poor is creating one of the very critical problem in this region.
That has been very informative. Now, is there anything else that you would like to add on in terms of food and nutrition?
Another issue I want to add is the neglected food resources. In recent past, you'll be surprised that we human beings, we are dependent on our calorie intake from 4 main staple food: wheat, rice, maize, and potatoes. The calories come from these 4 food items shares 60% of our calorie intake. 60%. Why it's happening? Because we are too much concentrating on this limited number of staple food and investing a lot of money, like research, marketing, education, and even commercialization of private companies to sell their products. At the same time, other food items which existed traditionally as a part of traditional culture in the rural areas are disappearing or neglected totally. It's become more critical when food price increase happens. We have to spend more effort to promote traditionally available food resources, and maybe to adjust to the dietary preference of young generation by adding some ingredients or changing the cooking method or processing method. And this type of effort, I think we should put
more emphasis.
More emphasis, yes.
On the traditional way of consumption.
That's right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kanuma, for sharing the present situation as well as future scenarios regarding the fight against hunger.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.